Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had an interesting day today, at least I can say. I mean, my gosh, the markets this morning went crazy. My whole brain was going crazy as well. I was looking at my portfolio was down at one point. I think I was down 10% overall on everything. I was like, okay, if it goes another 5%, I think I'm going to be like selling everything. I'm going to go to cash, wait this whole thing, tariff out. Luckily, I didn't do that, but kind of cooled off a little bit as the market kind of cooled off as well in the morning. But we had a big dip, we had a big spike, we had another dip after that, and then things kind of actually started to go up a little bit here for us. So it was a wild day. There's a lot of stuff that's happening here with tariff talks, right? 50 plus countries are looking to negotiate zero tariffs possibly. We'll see if we get anything like that. China's doubling down on their tariffs. They added 34% on the United States. The United States is adding another 50 points on top of what we already have. So now we're at 104 possibly tomorrow. So there's a lot of unknowns here, but I think there's some good signs here. We'll get into that. Bitcoin was up today. Miners, for the most part, were up today as well, surprisingly enough. I mean, they were down 10% in the morning, but there's a lot we'll take a look at. We'll also take a look at Cleanspark update from them, just some news update. We also have CORZ Scientific update, Hive update, and that's basically it. And then we get into Q&A. So it should be pretty fun. Should be pretty easy. But as always, not financial advice, return only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously, as you guys know. But let's take a look at what happened here in the markets. The markets, like I said, turned out to be a wild ride today. It wasn't as bad as everybody was saying it was going to be, or as bad as I thought it was going to be even just last night. We were looking at the futures happening. It's like, oh, geez, we're looking at maybe a Black Monday here happening. But we opened up pretty low here on the NASDAQ, or sorry, Dow Jones. We came down right away in the morning. First 15 minutes we were down, and then within like a half an hour we were up. What happened? Well, a news came out that possibly the Trump administration is putting a pause on all tariffs on all the countries except for China for like 90 days, and the market took off. The press wires were going crazy with it, and then the White House said, nope, that's false. We never stated that, and then things came back down. But after that, things kind of calmed down a little bit. We got some more news from other countries that they're looking to negotiate, talk about the tariffs and bring things down, make it better for the United States. So I think that's kind of what's kind of sparking the markets here, at least right now, is a little confidence that things will be better, right? I mean, we can see Dow futures right now are actually in the green. S&P is also in the green. Nasdaq's in the green right now in the futures, and I think that is mainly because of, well, we'll go to this one here. I think nearly 50 countries want tariff deals. Trump trade chief Greer says. And I think it's actually more like 70 countries now. So that's, I mean, we're getting close to 50% of the countries that are on the list. I think there was 180 countries that were on the list of tariffs. But that, I think, is giving a little bit of a reprieve to the market's fear that things are maybe not going to be as bad as we were thinking, right? If the negotiations go through, things get negotiated, we get some pretty, I guess, win-win deals, not only for us, but for other countries as well, right? You always need to do that, I think. And then the only thing that's going to be kind of outlying here is going to be obviously the stuff that's happening with China. Trump threatens an extra 50% tariff on China and opens the door to talks. So, but we'll have to wait and see what happens on there. He's stubborn. China can be stubborn too. We'll see if they can actually get together and have a mutual conversation about what's happening here and are sought after justice in the trades. But overall, like I said, I think maybe, I could be wrong on this, but I think just these 50 countries plus being open to having talks is a good thing here. It does give a sign to the markets at least that we might be able to walk out of this maybe not as in a bad spot as they thought we were going to be, potentially. But we'll see, all right? So that's kind of just what I'm seeing here based on the current futures, Bitcoin and everything being up, reversing on the day. Markets also reversed a little bit on the day today. So we weren't as low on everything like we thought we were going to be. Bitcoin was up actually today, just a little bit. It's still up in the new day, but we did go way, way low on it. We got down to a low of 74,420 on it roughly. And I drew this line in. This is like 73,710, I think it is, this white line here. This is our previous high that we reached prior to the halving event back in April of last year. And I'm like, okay, if we can hold above this, we might be good. And sure enough, we did hold above it. So I think the bull, we're having a correction here right now, obviously. But I think the bull run still might be in play here going forward as long as we stay above this. I think maybe we could go down to I think 69 would be really tough to swallow there and still have a bull run. But, you never know. But as long as we stay above here, I'm okay with it. I'm still looking bullish. But we are up a little bit here, obviously, today as well. But we finished out the day just 0.98%, almost 1%, all things considered. I'll take that as a win. That's actually really good. And then we're up a little bit here again. We're up another 0.93% on the day. So that is looking much better than what we saw here over the weekend. There is a huge CME futures gap on it as well. We got that gap right there on it. So we should be filling that's possible. Well, it's not that big. I thought it was going to be bigger, actually. When I looked at it earlier today, it seemed like it was bigger. But, well, there is that gap. I mean, you do have a gap here from where we were on Friday. And then, yeah, there is a gap. A little one, but we have a gap. So we might be coming back up to that to get that filled potentially. Something to keep an eye on that one. Let's see what else we have here. Miners. Miners also reversed a pretty bad morning start to them. And then actually some of these guys actually finished in the green. Bitfarms was actually down 1.82%. BitDeer was up 3.1%. Cypher was up 6.1%. Cleanspark was up 1.5%. CORZ was up. Sorry, CORZ was down actually 2.2%. Hive was up 1.4%. Hive was up just a little bit here. IREN up down 1%. Mara was down 0.35%. Riot was down 0.42%. And Wolf was up 2.69%. MicroStrategy was down actually 8.6% on the day. Not sure why. Bitcoin was going up to Galaxy was down also 8.8%. Seems like who else was down here quite a bit. Oh, that's basically it. Some of the smaller miners were down though. CAN was up a little bit here. The ETFs, WGMI was the only one that was in the green. Other ones were in the red today. So it was, like I said, a much better day than I thought it was going to be, which is kind of nice. Because if we had a Black Monday, that would not have been great. I'm sure you guys would have not been feeling great about it either. So we'll take what we can get. A win is a win. Nonetheless, we were in the green. I'll take it any single time of the year when this does happen, especially having the opposite. All right, let's take a look at the stories that we do have here really quick on the miners. There's how much we covered all this stuff here. Bitcoin ETF inflows today. We're in the negative. We're waiting on, obviously, BlackRock to report. But Cleanspark just provided a little update here. They got recognized for being one of the top 35 of 500 fastest growing companies in the Americas. So this is kind of nice there. Cleanspark has earned the 35th spot on the America's fastest growing companies in 2025, an annual ranking by the Financial Times, Statista, Inc., a world-leading statistics portal and industry ranking provider. And Cleanspark is pleased to make the top 40 on America's fastest growing companies list, said CEO Zach Bradford there. Our incredible growth since 2020 showcases the value of our strategy and our team's grit and adaptability over multiple years. Even more, our proven track since then has continued with our fiscal year 2024 revenue increasing 123% since fiscal year 2023, and the tremendous expansion of our Bitcoin mining footprint, which is expected to reach 50 exahash in hash rate during the first half of the year, right? So in the next couple of months here. And a little update here, we currently support approximately 5% of the global network hash rate, with their hash rate making Cleanspark one of the largest producers of Bitcoin in the world. They're right after Mara right now, and has created a position of financial stability with stronger balance sheet, which includes nearly 12,000 Bitcoin holdings, allowing the company to weather any storm. We look forward to a larger adoption of Bitcoin and will continue paving the way for a new digital economy. So that is great. Congrats to the team there. They've definitely grown tremendously over the last, I would say, 3 years or so since I started covering them. And that's nice to see. I mean, they've obviously grown into other states and everything else. They did a fantastic job there. So kudos to those guys over there on that one. And let's get into the updates that we have for the miners here. CORZ Scientific here. CORZ Scientific announced their March production update and operations. It is better than what we saw back in March. No, not March. We're talking about March. We're talking about February on them. But here's what they have provided us with. Not a lot of details, just some. Bitcoin self-mine was 247. That was up from 215. So that's good. Obviously, March had a couple more days than February did here, so that definitely helped them out. But also, I adjusted their miners. We'll take a look at that in a second here. That were operating. I took out some of the lesser efficient ones, but we'll discuss that. That helped them out. Self-mining energized hash rate was 18.1, so that's down from 18.4, right? So that's why I say they're taking out some of the older machines, the ones that are, like 90 terahash, 95 terahash machines that they still have, might be using. They're getting rid of those, it looks like, and just kind of trying to squeeze as much efficiency out of the system that they have right now in place on it. So 18.1 is exahash where they're at. Digital asset self-mining. CORZ Scientific earned 247 Bitcoin in March from its own fleet of miners. As of the month end, the company operated approximately 156,000 owned Bitcoin miners, representing approximately 96% of the Bitcoin miners operating in its data centers, and total energized hash rate of 18.1%, so or 18.1 exahash. Let's see. This is approximately something like hosting. Yeah, I mean, there's not much update as far as what their progress is on building out the HPCI data centers for CoreWeave there. I wish they would have provided something on that, but they haven't. So we'll take what we can get. So that's what we got. Let's take a look at Core here really quick. So Core and stock price is off. I didn't update the stock price today. I forgot to do that. I just remembered that. But shares outstanding is about 306 million. Stock price around $7 roughly. Right, market cap about 2.2 billion or so, give or take a little bit here, depending on how much shares they have currently now. But the stock has not done well. Just like every other miner has not done well here in the last 12 weeks. It's down 52%. From then, their BTC production here. Well, I forgot to update this one. See, I missed one. I was trying to do this stuff in a hurry, and that's what happens when you do things in a hurry. You end up missing something. So the production did go up a little bit here on March to 247 Bitcoin. Increase about 32 or so Bitcoin being produced. There, that's updated now, so that looks much better. But it has been coming down, and the result of that is because they're still operating on the older generation machines. They haven't been updating anything in the last, I would say, probably 2 years, right? I think they got some stuff in that's newer, but not updating everything else on it. Revenue here was to 21 million here for the month here, down from, or actually up a little bit, just slightly up a little bit, almost 500,000 from February there. BTC HODL, I don't know what they HODL. They don't report it. Sometimes they report they sold something, sometimes they don't. So it's hard to track it. So I just have it at 0. We'll find out when they report the quarterly results, what that is actually like. And then you can see their hash rate here has basically over the last year, since July, has been coming down here from 21 exahash all the way down to 18.1. So about 3 exahash of machines have been getting unplugged and probably disposed of or sold. I don't know, right? BTC sold, like I said, they don't provide any data here the last 3 months as far as what's being sold, so it's kind of hard to track. And then BTC per exahash efficiency improved a little bit here to 13.6. On it, Bitcoin sold value, I'm guessing they sold everything, I don't know. On it, going down here to institutions. Institutions did continue to increase here a little bit. 418 institutions now own them. Shares is up to 265 million.7, and then now it's owned by 0.08%. So looks like we probably had some dilution here in the last month or so, based on the percentage that's owned. We now have 10 strong buy ratings, 4 buy ratings, 2 hold ratings, which we didn't have before. 0 underperforms, 0 sells. Price target stayed the same, though, for 24 for the high. The average went down a little bit to 19.43, and the low stayed at 17 as well on that one. All right, going down here to the miners side of things. The miners, I took out some of these older, like 95, 98 terahash that I actually hid the data here, or hid the cells, the rows, on it just to make it a little bit more compact. But I got rid of a bunch of those things. I left only about, about 8,000 of those miners left or so. And that got us pretty close to what they said. They reported about 156,000 miners being installed here. I have 157,000 miners right now based on everything here. So with that refinement, that definitely helped them out with getting their days of operation up a little bit higher to 24.264 days compared to the 19.2 days that they had prior. And that was probably the right move for them to do that. And they're probably doing that over the last 7 months, 8 months, whatever it's been. They're getting rid of some of these older generation miners, but they don't report who they get rid of or what they get rid of. So I have to estimate and kind of make an educated guess on it. But I like being that close to it. That's really good there. All right, based on that and the revenue they got in for the month, around 21 million? Yeah, 21 million roughly. Multiply that times 12 going forward, along with some HPC business that they're going to get from CoreWeave eventually. We don't know exactly when. I have that about 250 million maybe this year that they might get from that, depending when they get that energized and everything else. I'm estimating here. I think they could be between 13, 12, and 1968 right now with a P of 16. Everything's down a little bit, so it could even go down to 15, right? 1230 to 1845 potentially. But as they start getting more revenue here, and you can see that in the formula down here, that I'm taking the times 12 months plus the 500 million that they were supposed to be making at 50% there of that roughly, because they pushed out that date a little bit further. So that's kind of where I'm looking at least right now, where I think they should be valued at. Are they valued at? No, they're at $7 something right now. So it is what it is right now. The only thing they can do, my thoughts on Core is they got to continue to obviously progress with building out the data centers for CoreWeave. Get those up and running as fast as they can. That's, money, the longer it takes you, the money is, well, you're losing money on it right now, but you'll get it eventually. It's just prolonging the process here for investors. Get that done. Possibly change out the ASICs that they do have here with the block miners that they're supposed to get sometime in the second quarter as well. That should help out. And yeah, they just got to continue to execute here. That is basically it on it. I'd like to see a little bit more updates from them as far as how are they progressing with the HPCI data center stuff for CoreWeave in the updates that they provide anyways monthly, right? Just say, here's what we're doing, here's this, there's what's going on. I think that would go a long way with investors, I believe. So that's just a little tidbit there of maybe advice from me, my little me. All right, but that's Core there. Let's take a look at Hive really quick. Hive also provided their update here, and they actually started operations at the Waigusa site, which they purchased from Bitfarms. And here's what we have. Hive is pleased to announce its unaudited production results for March 2025 and to share a key milestone, the commencement of mining operations at its hydropower 200 megawatt site in Waigusa, Paraguay. All amounts in the U.S. unless otherwise indicated. So they mined 108 Bitcoin. That is a little bit of an increase from what they got in February, so that's good. HODL balance is down to 2,201. That isn't a sizable decrease. They use quite a bit of their Bitcoin to fund growth here, or buy the sites and things like that. Strategic capital deployment year over year, BTC holdings temporarily decreased by 4% as the company prudently reinvested Bitcoin proceeds into long-term capital assets, including a new green-powered infrastructure in Paraguay. All right, so that's part of it. We'll take a look at how much they actually sold there. And then the company achieved a peak BTC-only hash rate of 6.2 exahash. It's kind of where they were last month. They only installed, I think, roughly maybe around 100 petahash. They go on to seeing it here, yeah. Hive has officially energized phase 1 of its 200 megawatt site in Waigusa, Paraguay, and is now mining Bitcoin at an initial production rate of 100 petahash. The site is expected to scale steadily in the weeks ahead, with additional mining capacity set to be deployed in phases over the coming months. So then there's that site. Nice setup here, obviously, with the miners, hot air, cold air, aisles going in. And down here is the overview, or the top view of the site. Definitely a lot of progress has been made here, especially from last year, what we saw with the original pictures coming in from Bitfarms here. And then this is what it looks like at night. Kind of looks like little Bitcoin miners mining away here on it. All right, so that is it for Hive. Let's take a look at them on the sheet that I have here. Hive's got about 155 million shares outstanding. Market cap is abysmally low, 217 million. It's crazy the way they're being valued, but I think it is what it is. I mean, they're down 56% from 12 weeks ago, as well as like other miners are. It's nothing out of the ordinary here recently. Current hash rate 6.2, future hash rate at 10.7 roughly. They have to buy more machines. When they report that they buy more machines, we'll get them up to the 25 exahash by the end of the third quarter here. HODL 2,201, right? That's valued about 174 million right now. Their HODL to market cap position is about 80% right now. One share has about $1.12 in it. Their production here, like I said, increased about 19 for the month of March, 108. Revenue came in about 9.19 million for them. BTC HODL, like I said, has been decreasing here as they've been using that to basically buy the site from Bitfarms and maybe get miners in there and things like that, operations and all those things. So they've sold approximately, what would you say? That's probably, probably 900 Bitcoin here. My math is right, just over the last 3 months, 900 Bitcoin that they've sold on it. So roughly around $90 million value-wise on it. Hash rate growth, like I said, has been increasing here slowly, but they're going to have a lot more growth here happening in the next, I would say, probably 6 months, as we are already in second quarter right now, and the third quarter is when they should be fully installed at 25 exahash. So we'll see if they can get that done. Their BTC per exahash efficiency also improved nicely. I think this might be the best miner here for the month, at least for March, with 17.33 on that one. They were operating nice, a lot of days here. We'll take a look at that. And then, yeah, you can see here that they sold 44 million here this past month, roughly 25 and 12 the prior months. So, yeah, they've been selling quite a bit to fund their growth here. Institutions did decrease here a little bit to 166. Shares also decreased a little bit, owned by institutions to 40 million.8. And then the percentage owned went down to 27.12. We do have one increase in the strong buy rating to 5 now. Buy rating is just 3. 0 holds, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. Price target stayed the same actually for them for the high. The average went down to 806, and the low stayed the same at $6 also on it. So we got them at 9.1, 9.2 million roughly in revenue here for the month. And they were operating for about 30.8 days, almost full 31 days here in the month of March with what they have installed here. So really, really good operations there. Nice improvement over the 25 days roughly that they had in February. I'm guessing it might be weather related as well. That has helped them out tremendously here. So I think they're going to be like the most efficient for the month of March here, based on just what I'm seeing here, at least right now with the miners. Okay, based on the revenue that they got for March, multiply that times 12, and then look at the numbers here. I got them between 532 and 798 on where I think they should be kind of fairly valued. They're $1.40, right? Way undervalued for, at least in my opinion. I don't know if it's because they don't own any sites in the United States and they're in other places. I don't know if that's a result of that. There were Canadian miners as well. They're moving their jurisdictional headquarters to the United States, or they've already done that, I think. So that should help out. But for whatever reason, they're just not getting the love there out of the miners. Well, none of the miners are right now anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. But in general, this is kind of where I would think these things would be at 15, especially with them growing to 25 exahash. That's basically 4x worth of growth here in the next 6 months if they can pull it off, right? So what can I say about them? Continue to grow. Love the growth story. Love the operational excellence as well. Just continue to execute. And they just got to get their cost down. I think that might be the other thing. The break-even cost for Hive is $85,000, right? So that's just that's not including share-based compensation or depreciation. That's just electrical costs. So they need to get that down and get their costs up. So they need to get scale. Scale, getting 25 exahash will help them get to that point. All right, that is it on all these guys. I think I'm missing only a couple miners here left. Maybe even one miner. What am I missing here on the numbers? Yeah, I'm only missing BitTier. So once BitTier reports, we'll go over the monthly updates on these guys, see who came out number one, who came out last, and all the fun stuff when that happens. All right, let's get into Q&A. We're only going in so far 22 minutes or so. It's going to be a short night tonight. I'm going to be able to watch a movie or something. Relax a little bit. It's been stressful the last couple of days. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about here. But spreadsheets are going to be available to all my Patreon members. As always, you guys can get those. I'll probably put those out for you guys tonight. And if you want access to those, the link is down in the description as always. Okay, so let's see what you guys have to say on the questions side of things. I'm going to roll up, as always. If you can preface the question with a question mark or a Q, and then we'll work our way down. And it's not that much questions here. I think everybody's kind of tuckered out and exhausted with all this stuff. Let's see. All right. Heinz has got a question here. Why are too many whiners on YouTube and X blaming Trump? This, that, blah, blah, blah. Tariff bad. It's Trump's fault. Well, Trump's the one that started it. So that's kind of why they're blaming Trump. But, so, like I said before, if he can get the deals done, get everything worked out in a timely manner, and we'll see what everything looks like in the next 18 months. If things are okay, right, job well done. If this is a fail for him, it's going to be a heavy fail for him. Right. Some of the stuff needs to get done, but I think just the brunt force of it and the quick, I would just say quick. It's quick, but it's just too quick, I think. And a lot of people think the same thing. There could have been other ways you could have done this, but he did it the way he did it. We'll find out how well it works, right? Nobody has a crystal ball. We'll find out. Let's see. Starmount says, I still have a lot of cash, so bring on more red. Yeah, I mean, if you have cash right now, you definitely want the red to come in. Let's see. BTC just had a death cross, not buying until see more capitulation. I saw that too. Yeah, went below that. But it stayed. I'm happy it stayed above 73,700, whatever it was. Talked about that. All right. Rick, appreciate the like there. All right. Where do you value Cleanspark if Bitcoin's getting back up to 110,000? Well, it's not that much from where we are right now, right? So if Bitcoin goes up, I think maybe the miners will pump as well, just to kind of, because they've been beaten down like crazy. But that's roughly from where we are. We're looking at, what is that, 30% increase, right? So I would think the miners would do at least a 30% increase, if not maybe like 50% increase, somewhere around there. Let's see. All right. Spin says futures are up 60 plus, Biddy 80-20. Nice. Yeah. So, like I said, maybe with all the stuff that we're having the talks about, countries wanting to negotiate, things like that. Maybe this is going to work out. All right. See, it seems like miners options market is recovering much quicker than BTC. Well, that would be a good thing. Miners definitely got beaten down a heck of a lot more than Bitcoin did. Sir Melon says red to come. I think there's still going to be some red to come because you're going to have, news stories coming out that this country is not playing ball or something like that, or this country's not doing that, and you're going to still see some days we're going to obviously be going a little bit more red, possibly. Right. How long Cleanspark have on convertible debt before more dilution? That is until 20. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I thought it was 2030. This is when that convertible notes. But they also have something where it like triggers a $24 or something like that, where it triggers something where they have to dilute some shares in order to pay off something. All right. At what level will Mara be valued on its BTC holdings? Currently at 95% of BTC holdings to market cap. Yeah, Mara is also not one of those interesting. Kind of similar to Hive, right? If we look at Mara, same thing. Valuation is just crazy. Based on over the weekend, this is off just a little bit here, but it's like 96% of the HODL to market cap value. So their HODL is valued about 3.7, right? Somewhere around there, 3 point whatever it is. And the market cap is about 3.9 billion here. And I think the only thing I can think of again for them would be also the break-even numbers here for Mara is like 75,000 per Bitcoin, right? And that's not including share-based compensation or depreciation as well, right? So that's not included in here. This is just extrapolating the data from Q4 numbers into Q1 basically based on what they're operating here in the last 2 months. On the data-wise, and so we're going to be up or down within 10% of that, roughly, somewhere around there. I don't know exactly the numbers, but that's maybe why their cost is the reason why the stock isn't doing that well, so they're not being valued on their operation side of things, maybe? I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. Their operations have been getting much better over time, and we can see that here in actually their days operational and things like that. The last 6 months, I would say, have been getting much better, right? October, they were 23 days. November, there were 30 days. December, 28 days mining. January was down a little bit, 24. I think it's just weather related. February as well. And then they're back up to 26 days. So they're operating much better than they have in the past. But yeah, the costs, I think they got to get the costs under control. They still host about, 35-40% of their machines with third parties. That adds more cost to it as well. But they're doing a lot of the good things here, I think. Getting the site that has the windmills or wind power, basically, that is going to be generating very, very low electricity costs for them with those machines being plugged in, some of the older machines that are going to be moved over there eventually. So they're doing all the right things to get the costs down. It's just the market has to see that, I think, and they need to see that in numbers as well, potentially. But, yep, I agree. It's crazy. All right, let's go back here. Okay, let's see. Things went up on me here a little bit. Okay, there it is. Let's see. Ann says Hive and Bitfarms, being Canadian, don't have tariffs from China, so they can order parts cheaper than U.S.-based miners. But you still got to get them into the United States. Well, Bitfarms would have to get them into the United States, right? But yes, Hive can buy machines from China and wherever else and get them into Canada and into Paraguay as well, without having to pay the tariffs. Right. What is the value of BTC per Hive share? I think I saw it was near 100% last month on it, and that was because they had like 500 some odd more Bitcoin here, right? They recently, this past month, it looks like they sold some more, but they're like 80% right now as it is, 80%, but they were higher, right? They sold 527 here to help fund the transaction with Bitfarms. So that took out about 40 million or so, almost 45 million of dollars worth of HODL there. Otherwise, it would have been, they probably would have been actually, 50 some million. Let's just say 50, 24. Yeah, their HODL would have been valued higher than their market cap at that point. So, but that brought it down a little bit. Okay, let's go back here. All right. Question, I am 100% in cash waiting for more red days like Sour Melon. I hate to admit it, but Sour Melon has been more right than wrong. Just saying. Yeah, He has been right. I'm not. There's no denying it, obviously. Let's see. Sorry, clarify. How fast is Cleanspark burning through the cash from convertible debt, aka when they got to start all diluting again? I mean, they stated that they were good for basically through the remainder of the year, more or less. I'm giving him until like basically the end of the third quarter, potentially, depending where Bitcoin's at, right, and everything else. But I think somewhere around there is where I'm thinking they might start having to then dilute some more. But we'll see. We'll see what they say. They've said like till the end of the year they should be fully funded. Sadie, thank you so much for the thumbs up. And then a question, DMG also has a high HODL to market cap. I would have to look at theirs. I haven't looked at theirs in a while to see where they are. Maybe we can pull the numbers in and see what it is. But I think DMG actually reported their numbers here recently. Let's see if we can pull that up really quick on DMG. Let's see, BitNews, DMG blockchain. There it is. Okay, let's go. Is it loading? It's loading. Okay. So that is loaded up. DMG blockchain solution announced preliminary March update here. Let's see what they have to say. Let's see, they provide the Bitcoin that they hodl. 458 Bitcoin right now is what they hodl versus 443. So that has increased. So what would that give them? 458 times, what is that, 80,000 roughly. Where's my calculator? Go. Jeez. Too many apps on the phone. 458 times roughly 80,000. That's valued at 36.6 million. What is their market cap here? We can find that out. Where's DMG here? We're going to have DMG over here. Small miners, DMG. So we can find their financials here. DMG, does it say market cap? 29. Yeah. So, I mean, if their HODL is valued at 36 million and their market cap is valued at 29 million. Yeah. Same situation. And that one right there. For DMG. So like I said, there's a lot of companies that are way, way undervalued from where they really should be just based on their assets alone and everything else. I mean, doesn't make sense, right? Sometimes the market can be irrational longer than you can stay solid, I guess. But I think that is all the questions we have here. So we might have a pretty easy day here. All right. Yeah, that's all the questions we have. So I'm going to call it a day, guys. Nice and easy. It's half an hour. I like it. Yesterday we went pretty long. We went like an hour 12 yesterday. So we'll see whatever else happens tomorrow with the markets. We'll see how the tariffs go on. Do those get negotiated or not? Will Trump, how hard will Trump push back on the companies or the countries on the tariffs and what he wants? And, we'll see. We're definitely in, I would say, unexplored territory or uncharted territory, at least right now, when it comes to all this stuff here. We've never had this many tariffs and deals being made all at once. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see how it's all going to play out. It's going to be interesting. That's all I can say. Right? Nobody knows how it's going to end up. Hopefully it ends up in our favor, or at least we end up in a better position than we are right now as far as the United States. And hopefully everybody else can still be our friends and allies. But that hopefully not alienating everybody and making everybody upset at us. All right. But that is it. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you as always for coming in here, spending a little time with me. Love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow.